Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Greenbridge Metals channel, unearthing critical metals for the greener future. Joining to give a high-level overview of their North American projects, a little bit of his history, and obviously some milestone expectations. We have David, the CEO, joining. First and foremost, welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Such a pleasure to get you on. So I kind of want to dive into this for newer audiences. You're kind of operating in Northern Ontario, basically Minnesota. Do you want to just give a high-level overview, basic elevator pitch to exactly what you have with your properties?
Yeah, so look, this is a really exciting opportunity. We have a market coming back. Clearly, it's been challenging in the realm of mineral exploration, development, and production. And we've just found ourselves in this really great pocket where we signed a deal to pick up a property in Northern Ontario, nickel focused with a historical resource and a big opportunity to grow that fairly rapidly. Obviously, being in Ontario, in Canada, we consider that to be a tier one jurisdiction. Love the certainty that comes with being in that part of the world and all the history of mining in Northern Ontario. And then the second, and sort of from a timing perspective for investors perspective, we've just picked up and closed on an option to advance and continue to explore some highly prospective copper, nickel, titanium, actually just an incredibly well endowed package of properties in the Duluth complex in Minnesota. So we are very excited about that. There's almost too much to go into in terms of what the possibilities are and what we're going after. But having a North American focused company with properties that are relatively close to each other, actually, if you look at a map. So we have an exciting summer ahead of us, lots of news flow, and we're just getting started here as the market starts to pick up.
No, absolutely incredible. And just kind of to abbreviate the news flow and kind of what's coming, do you want to talk about what your plans are for the summer, these properties, you guys getting into drill programs? What's the plan?
Yeah, so in Northern Ontario, we're going to fly an airborne survey. We've been on the ground there already. There's been a little bit of news flow already out of Greenbridge from Putty, where we've done some surface work. From the perspective of historical data, the work that had been done there previously, both on chrome and nickel, that was back in the 60s. Nobody was assaying for some of these new quote unquote critical minerals, PGMs, vanadium, etc. So we obviously have a focus there. It's built into the name of the company. It's we're a green bridge to a new world, really, and this is something that's really exciting for me. And similarly, once we start to work with the data sets that are existing, our group is very focused on acquiring and working with properties that actually have some, past work, including past resources, historical resources to go off of. We find that you always want to have a place to go to make something bigger or to find higher grade, to leverage that historical data, those historical opportunities. So at Putty, we have that. So the work that we're going to do this summer, which may include drilling, will definitely, bolster ours and hopefully investors' excitement about the opportunity there. Similarly, in Minnesota, where we have some really exciting targets to chase, we're going to do some airborne work, and we're definitely going to do some drilling. It's going to be copper focused, and we can get into the nuts and bolts of that later. But we are just so excited about. I mean, for anybody who wants to go and take a look at our deck and see some of the call outs on the historical drill holes that have been put in there and the existing historical resources, for example, at TiTech on the titanium. It's a mind-blowing opportunity, actually. And so there will be plenty of news flow from the ground. We will be at work at in both places, Ontario and Minnesota, throughout the summer.
No, incredible. When we come back, I want to explore that investor deck much farther, but roll back for us a little bit. First and foremost, what led up to that aha moment? I mean, how did you kind of get involved with Greenbridge here?
Well, It's funny. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than smart. I think a lot of people are both. In this case, there's a little bit of both at play. We had an opportunity to work with the shareholders of the company as it formed, so to speak, without Putty and the Minnesota assets in it, and we were putting our heads together about where can we go to position ourselves for a significant run in some of these commodities, copper, for example. And initially we looked at a few opportunities that were not in North America, and eventually we got scared away by the challenges. And also in that type of market, we looked at perhaps trying to pick up things that were a little bit too big for the time and space we were in. And so over the course of time, having being an environmentalist myself, I in our preamble to the interview, I told you that I'm a graduate of York's Environmental Studies program. I came out of high school a greenie, so to speak, and then I went on and worked in finance. But I've always had this bend. And, with what's happening right now, I mean, when you and I turned on the news this morning, we saw nothing but news of heat waves and floods and all of these things that are happening. People are, every second car on the street here in Vancouver is a Tesla. It's obvious to me that, resource extraction needs to continue. There's no question that the metals that are in this thing that everybody holds and uses don't just jump out of the ground into it. So we have to take this sort of green approach, and that's where the name Greenbridge came from. And so as we were thinking about what is Greenbridge, how do we want to go and explore for metals that are going to ultimately help lead us out of or into a new paradigm of energy consumption and a greener grid, so to speak. We started looking for opportunities like the two packages that we have. So the genesis of this is also, it's not just like, we're not just a group of people who are experienced at going out and finding properties and minerals and putting them into companies and trying to advance them. I think everybody, who does this and has been successful here can and will continue to do that. But I think putting this green, and I won't, everyone's expecting me to say spin. It's not a spin. It's really putting that process into the context of greening the grid or the economy is something that we're largely focused on. So which metals are important? Well, copper, nickel, vanadium, and some of these properties have others. So we back to lucky and smart. We've been very fortunate to have access to these properties. They've come out of a private portfolio from a group that had the foresight many years ago to acquire and package up these properties, and working with them is going to be very exciting. I think all of our investors are extremely well positioned here as we enter this summer and carry on through the fall, where I think this market's really going to take off.
On that note, we'll pass it off to the viewers as always. We'd love to know what you think in that comment section below, and consider subscribing, because as news and catalysts hit the wire, we're going to bring it to you here. But on that, we look forward to catching you in the next one.